Hey there, Swordsage. Excellent video, but I do feel like I need to argue with it because if I really don't have anything to say about it, then I probably should just blow my head off. I think that you're right. I mean, as you point out at the end of the video, it's important to be aware of what you're up against. And the other point that I think you make very strongly in the video, that a huge proportion of people are apathetic, I think is also true. Or maybe at least that they seem apathetic. I think at least part of the problem is that we very infrequently get charismatic people who really know how to talk to the rank and file, who know how to talk to the majority of people in this country, to really motivate and inspire them. And because of that, because it's such an infrequent thing, that we fill in the time in between with people who are less worthy. But aside from that, I think there's definitely much cause for hope, curiously enough, because things are about to get incredibly disastrous. And I think when things get really bad, when there's widespread unemployment, when there's widespread misery, it forces connections between people, and it also decreases people's tolerance for bullshit. Because as you pointed out, a lot of it has to do with people being comfortable. If people no longer are comfortable, then you've got their attention, and you talk about why they're not comfortable anymore. One of the most important books that I've read in recent memory, by recent memory I mean in the last couple of years, was John Dean's Conservatives Without Conscience. One of the important things to be aware of is that there's a large proportion of people, not just in the United States, but pretty much everywhere, people conditioned by whatever, but they are what's called true believers, or another word for them, a more technical term for it, is authoritarian followers. These are people who are drawn to strong leaders, people who espouse like a strong moral code, who just are certain. I mean, George Bush is a perfect authoritarian leader. And, you know, one of many throughout history. But I think these people could follow someone who espoused a strong morality that was actually in favor of the poor. I mean, you see like the evidence of, Huey Long or Martin Luther King. Both unfortunate examples, of course, because they were killed. Also another point that you make in the video, that if anybody gets particularly good at expressing these ideas, they tend to vanish. And yet I think there's a cumulative effect of all of these vanished people. They send thoughts that go into the consciousness of the society, of the nation, and they change it. They change the expectations. They change the understanding. I just saw a video today put out by Enough Respect, who had a long speech by Kennedy about secret societies. And just the whole, not being tolerant of secrecy in government. And that's come to a head recently again. It's an ebb and a flow. And it's a fight. It's a fight that needs to be fought over and over again. Unless, of course, we get government down to an actual manageable size, which is also something which may come out of the calamities ahead. I mean, there are several states, for example, who are kind of asserting their rights and kind of sending messages, like resolutions, to the federal government saying, we're going to get more serious about policing the boundaries of what's ours and what's yours and what you're allowed to ask from us and what you're not allowed to ask from us. So there you go. You might have, a return somewhat to federalism, which I think would only be for the good, actually, in this country, because federalism was the original plan, and it was put together by people who thought a lot more about this stuff than we do. The final point that I wanted to make in terms of optimism for the future, it's not just that people are going to be shocked out of their comfort zone, that they're no longer going to be comfortable. What's actually going to happen as people are unemployed, as people who used to have their entire days taken up in kind of mindless pursuit of the almighty dollar so that they could buy the next iPod or whatever. iPod's always the example. I guess it's the useless thing of choice. But they were always driven, 24 hours a day. Got to get to work, got to go pick up the kids, got to take the kids to soccer practice, got to take the kids home, got to make dinner, got to get everybody ready for bed, got to get the homework done, get everybody to sleep on time. There's never any time to think. People never got off the treadmill, and this is only assuming that they have one job. Lots of people have 2 jobs. Some people even have 3 or 4 jobs, because some of the jobs are so shitty in our economy. But what's going to happen when all of these people suddenly have time and anger? A lot of interesting things could happen. I'm curious to see what's going to be happening in the near future. I'm not ready to pack it in. Not that I have that option, I have children. But I'm genuinely curious, and I really think that real change, not the kind of crap Obama's peddling, but real change, fundamental change, rethinking is possible because of the misery, because of the people out of work, because of the wheels of capitalism and our whole society grinding to a halt. It's the only thing that can make us look at it, and I think it's about to happen. Anyway, good vid. You're a very thought-provoking person. I love your videos. Please keep making them. Zach Elliott, feel free to argue.